My name is JOCQUIS SCONIERS. I am the head coach of Service High School basketball and the director of Alaska Trugame basketball. My roots in basketball started in Inglewood, California. At 5 years old, I was a huge Laker fan. I grew across the street from the Forum, so I was trying to sneak in games and try to get in there to go watch the Showtime Lakers play. My favorite player was Magic Johnson, so I always wanted to come down the court and be able to throw no-look passes and just be a champion like the Los Angeles Lakers. Growing up in Inglewood, it was there were some opportunities to get into things that weren't necessarily positive. So our church was across the street from the Forum as well. So basketball and church was pretty much my saving grace. And it was really a foundation for my life as it stands today. Franco Stanek and Coach Cikitis from UAF at the time. So Frank came to my house. At the time I was living in San Bernardino, California. And there's this place called the Jungle, and the Jungle was like the hood. So you got Big Frank come in, and they're telling me that the wind doesn't blow in Fairbanks, so it's not as cold as you think it is, and it's beautiful. So I then went on a recruiting trip. They recruited me from Mount San Jacinto Community College, where I played for the winningest coach in California JUCO history. And I just had a really great career there, and getting a full scholarship to come and play at UAF was just opportunity to kind of further my career and my educational goals. And then I coached there for a little bit there too. So I was a part of a team with Brad Olson. He just got his jersey retired about a month ago. We had a tremendous team. We had a great mix of California kids and the best kids at the time in Alaska. So Andrew Smith, he was the player of the year. He was a freshman coming in. Justin Bourne. We came with Marquise Rebels, Chris Smith, Norris Crawford, myself. And we were ranked #2 in the nation at one point in time. We made it to the Sweet 16. I think the year before we got there, they won 5 games. And we made a huge turnaround and really put Alaska UAF on the map at the time. Timeline, so at UAF in '07, I believe Clem Johnson, he was the ex-76er for the NBA. He took over UAF and he gave me the opportunity to come coach with him. And I was able to get a lot of experience for about a year and a half there. I left UAF, moved to Anchorage at the time for some family issues, and then I got called by Al Cikitis to move to Connecticut and be able to go coach Division II basketball in Waterbury, Connecticut. I was in Connecticut for about 6 years, so from about '08 to 2014. And that was a great opportunity. I got a chance to travel the world. At the time, Al Cikitis got named the head coach of the Tanzania national team. So we were in the middle of the season. He sent me to Africa about 2 or 3 times to go put the program together, pick the team. So I've been to Tanzania, Africa, coaching, training, and Tanga. I mean, it was just such an amazing opportunity and experience, and it helped me grow my knowledge of the game and just learning, how to build teams and how to run an organization. I think Al Cikitis, I keep giving him praise because he was one of those mentors in my life that helped me understand the business of the game. So, and it's crazy is when we moved back, my family moved back to Alaska in '14. It was just, I took over Chugiak, right? So Chugiak, I took that job blind. I didn't know, I'd never seen the kids. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. All I can remember is Chugiak coming to team camp when we were at UAF, because they used to have a really big team camp. The last year I worked a team camp, Chugiak had these big old cockstrong, I'm talking about 6'5", 6'6" dudes. I'm like, oh my God. That's all I can think about. They're gonna be strong at least, and they're gonna be tall. I can work with that, right? When I get there, we're talking about 5'11", not what I expected when I first got there. And they were football players. I think they hadn't won a game in a couple of years. It was interesting. Coaching at Chugiak, I learned so much. I was humbled. I never lost so much in my life the first year. I don't think the number of games we lost, I probably lost that in my whole playing and coaching career in 1 year. So it was really humbling. And but I had great players I had great kids that wanted to become great. And they were super competitive, their families were great, and they were all freshmen at the time. I put all freshmen out there on varsity and we're getting our butts kicked. And every year they got better. And by their senior year, they made state. And we were about 4 minutes from making the state championship game against them. So it was just it was watching that process and watching that growth. It was tremendous. We turned Chugiak's program around. That was my first head coaching gig, and I mean it's dear to my heart because that was my baby. I mean it was watching that growth and watching that turn was it was tremendous. So Trugame was developed in 2014 when I moved back to Alaska. I knew that Alaska was under-recruited, and I knew that there was kids here that probably don't know the process to be able to become a collegiate athlete. I was recruiting kids in Connecticut or all across the country, and a lot of kids, I go in their homes, they don't know what it takes, like their grades, the SAT score, at the clearinghouse, all that stuff was impactful on their opportunity to become a collegiate athlete. And the ignorance that I experienced as a kid, not knowing my family, I'm the first graduate in my family, so nobody helped me, because they didn't know. And so seeing that and thinking that, hey, I can be a liaison for these kids and be able to develop something that they may or may not have in this state, is what my intentions were for Trugame. It's since then it's blossomed into something that I'm trying to manage a little better, but it's so impactful from 2nd grade all the way through 12th grade with the families and the kids that we're dealing with. It is rewarding, and I think I'm glad we're able to speak about this. I don't know if a lot of people know my history. I didn't grow up here, and a lot of people have this perception about who I was because they're used to people coming in and taking money and then leaving. Like I remember sitting down with Jim Young when I first got here because he was the godfather, right? I went to Fridays, we met at Fridays on Tutor, and that was my first experience. I wanted to know about the community. And I sat down with Jim Young and we had dinner, and he was, he kind of gave me the lay of how things were in Alaska, good or bad. He put it out there for me, and he was one of the first people, like I said, that I met with, and he was honest about how the community was. They were just used to people coming in and doing this and then leaving. And I told him that night, I said, I don't plan on just leaving. I'm gonna be here, and I plan on developing something, and I'm passionate about what I do. And to this day, I lean back on that conversation. When things get tough, I lean back on that conversation because I am here to stay. There's so many, there's some talent up here. Yeah. A lot, both boy and girl. And, it's about fostering it, and then getting around the right people. I always say, I try to encourage people to find people that's done it, because they might be able to help navigate you to where, versus somebody that probably hasn't done it, even though they can't. It's like your expertise, right? Yeah. Like, are you gonna go to somebody, an expert, like a doctor, or are you gonna go to the student? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. what we doing is like apples and oranges. Yeah. It's like, I don't know. Yeah. I encourage people, like, get around people that's actually done it. Because they can, like, help make your path a little easier. This is home. I've made it home for me, and it's just something that I want to see all Alaskan student athletes get what they want. Not just my kids, I'm talking about everybody. So I'm willing to work with and help anybody.